This area here, the goats are great allies and are great helpers in clearing the forest, the undergrowth. Have cleared all this, and what they do is they strip off all the leaves, and they go up and they trim up the tree as far as they can reach, and basically allow us to see what's actually in here. Because before, if we had walked through here, you would not know if there was trees, you would not know if there was a stump you might run into, and so they allow us to be able to now come in here and mow down all the pricker bushes and so on. So now we just moved them out of this area this morning, which was their last week's work for them. And now they're on their new job over here. And they've already started.
And another thing is, in the way that we think and in the way that we play Palo Congo Taino, is here they are inside of the fundamento. Here they are inside the fundamentals with all the palos and all the weeds and plantas in there, and they're doing their thing in there. So that they're familiar with the misterios inside the fundamento when it's time for them to go visit that.
Right. Now most of these are females, but we had a little baby earlier this year. That's him right there. And our Billy is over there, the brown goat right there. He's young.
Well, yeah,
he's young.
Elaborate a little more what I'm talking about, the fundamento here.
So we see the whole land as a fundamento. And if you look around, and it becomes especially obvious in wintertime where you don't have all the green leaves, but is all the palos sticking up out of Mother Earth. And then there's various things within this fundamento. There's all the animals that died and whose bones went into this ground, all the insects. There's multiple plantas. There's all kinds of lightning strikes that have struck the ground. The rains, the different waters that have hit the ground, the snows, the ice, all the different
groundhog holes.
The multiple little groundhogs living in here, the deer that are living in here, the raccoons, the possums, the snakes,
so there's
the frogs, the toads, all the different things. And when we think of our fundamentos as microcosms, here's a macrocosm, which is yet again a microcosm within the greater macrocosm. But this macrocosm has lots of goats in it now. It's got sheep in it now, plus all the wild animals, roosters. We have guinea hens running around here somewhere, and they all are living within this land that we consciously caretake as a fundamento, as a sacred space.
With the many bilongos that are on this land.
And it has many bilongos on the land. There have been many tratados done with the land. So it is in fact a larger, living, breathing fundamento that we're working with. This is a view from this side of the hill here. And we've got, well, if we go up higher, we've got about a 180-degree view. And the mountains in the background, which are a little hard to see, it's a little hazy. But those mountains way back there, foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, it's a beautiful view from here. Absolutely beautiful. We just unexpectedly discovered something really neat here. We discovered that we have growing here the medicinal kind of St. John's wort, and if you see, it's staining my finger kind of like a purpley red. That is the medicinal St. John's wort growing wild here.
And we just discovered it.
An exciting find, very exciting find. Now we're higher up on the hill, and you can see the view all the way around. You can also see
our way to that.
You can also see the rest of the field, and that forest back there is also. We're also responsible for that in Finda and caretaking it. We're going to continue to walk in this direction. So now we're in the forest that we saw from the field. And this is deer dominated forest. We're actually on a deer trail right now. And they crisscross all through here. You can look, you can see out there's the field we were just in. And this is all being left to its own devices for many years. You see here red cedars. And they like the sunshine, so they're actually in the process of dying because they're not getting enough sun anymore. At one point they would have had full sun and they came up, and now they're dying out, and now other trees like hickories and walnuts and locusts are, even there's an oak, that green one right there is an oak coming in now for another generation of the forest. Here's a back little field we have here surrounded by this forest, and it's quite a distance from our home. It's an area that we're not going to be walking through every day, so what we did here is we planted over 150 locust trees, black locust trees, and everywhere you see an orange flag, which you can see them every few feet, is a black locust tree. The black locust is the hardest wood around here. It can be used for a fence post because it can be put in the ground and it won't rot. Far better than pressure treated wood that you can buy at the store for fence posts. The black locust is far longer lasting and doesn't need to be treated with any chemicals. It can be used for all kinds of construction. It is an incredibly good firewood, generating an intense amount of heat, so it's fantastic for firewood.
And it's also an excellent wood to carbon and kisi or what have you.
Absolutely fantastic. We use it all the time as palos. We use the leaves in our spiritual baths. The flowers are one of the main nectar sources for the honeybees in this area, along with the tulip poplars. The flowers are edible.
And in the summer, spring, they quench your thirst.
And when you cut the tree down, it grows back multiple stems. So that's called coppicing, and that's what we're going to do up here. Once these grow and they get to the point we can use them for something, we will cut them, and they won't die. They're going to come right back from the root with more stems than they had originally. So this will be a regenerating source of firewood, a regenerating source of building materials, a regenerating source of palos, of material to make inquisis, materials to make batons, materials to make all kinds of things, right in just this little space. Plus they will be beautiful, plus they will provide food for the deer, for the other animals, the nectar for the bees to make honey. This is just a beneficial situation for everyone, what's going to take place here. And here's another view of the rest of the field, and it goes back there, all the way back there. You can see a fence and a gate. That's our driveway gate. All through there. And we're going to be planting a lot of evergreens in here and create another buffer. You can see our sheep through the woods. Let's see. Yep, there's another herd of sheep. This is a different herd than the other one we saw. This is another herd of sheep. Now we're at those sheep we saw through the forest, and they're very interested in what we're doing. Some of them are relaxing on the ground. There's the ram. And everyone else in there is female ewes. This is our driveway. It's just gravel. Gravel, there's grass growing in it. All kinds of things grow in it.
Our gate's right behind us.
There's our gate. And way over there, across that field, is where we were looking at those locusts over there. So there's our 360 view. And on a clear day, you can really see the mountains back there, but it's really just too hazy today. Sometimes it snows so much, the snow is up to the top of that little fence right there. So We have lots of interesting seasons here.
Hey, we've been snowed in here up to a week or two.
Yeah. And right there's a little sheep. It's a traditional sheep caravan that the sheep herders would use out and when they follow their sheep around. It belongs to one of the tatas of the Manaso who sleeps in there when he's here for ceremony. He'll sleep right in his little caravan there.
Got a stove in there.
It's got a stove in there and everything. It's a cute little caravan. And here's another view of that top field where we've planted a couple hundred trees that in years to come they will emerge. You'll see them and they'll change the whole dynamic of this field. One of the most beautiful things for us about working with Mother Earth is these unexpected discoveries. Like we discovered the St. John's wort in the other field, and once we saw it and recognized it for who it is, we started seeing it everywhere. And now we've come up to an area that we walk by every day. There's pigeons, there's the feed shed for the animals. We come by this space every day. It's our driveway right here. We're driving by it. We put our gas cans over there, so we're constantly walking by here. And here's this little yellow flower, and we finally, it yelled out to us, "Look at me, you know me.
I'm here.
I'm here." It's St. John's wort. St. John's wort is very popular now for things like depression and things like that, and the oil that we make from it is good for bruising, for tired muscles, for all those kinds of things. It's a powerful little herb, and it's been growing here. We've been walking by it, and suddenly this year it suddenly says, okay, here I am. Let's start to take our relationship to a different level. And this is what we experience with working with Mother Earth over and over again, is that these relationships every year just brings new relationships. And these relationships really, they are tratals, and they become tratals. Because we're now going to take this little plant and we're going to make that oil. And when we make that oil, it's going to turn red, like you saw the color on my finger turn red. And that will become yet another healing ally to us, to our children, in the Manaso. We'll use it for different things with the spirit. It's just this never-ending evolution with Mother Earth of just remembering the ancestral wisdom and the ancestral relationships that have been really, really devastated in this modern environment of rampant consumerism and really giving over of power to entities that don't care.
And also, we in this Manaso, we do a ceremony, a tratado that we do with Entoto, with the earth, with Mother Earth, with Atabe, which is a really, really important ceremony so that the ancestors of this particular land can recognize us for who we are. We're indigenous, but we were born somewhere else and we came here.
Right.
Okay, so that ceremony that we do here is with all of the misterios, all the spirits, all the tree people and the green people and the stone and what have you, to connect us. And this is part of us recognizing these things, because then they come out of us.
Yeah.
They come out of us in these tratados, and that's an important tratado to have with the Isimbi where you're at.
Exactly.
And some we do just to, by giving an offering, and some we do with minga, that may come out of our fingers or what have you, but that are important tratados to do, to understand our place with the mother, with the earth, to understand with the misterios that are all about us and all around us, and all those caravelas, all those huesos that are under the ground that sometimes we forget that are there.
By the way, this also was just a hayfield when we got here. All these trees you see, we planted all of them when we first arrived. So you can see this will then continue here, and what you see over there will then come over here.